Good morning students. Today I shall continue with the question that I have discussed in my earlier presentation. So this was the table identified by the name player, and these are the values corresponding to the columns PID, FNAME, LNAME, game, gender, DOB and age. Now based on this particular table, that is player, I shall solve the following SQL questions. Now in today's presentation I shall start with the question F and then solve each of the question till J. This is because the questions from A to E I have already solved it in my earlier presentation. So before dealing with this table, I shall set the database which contains this table called player to the current database. Now the name of the database which contains this table called player is second database. So I shall set that database as our current database now. But before that, let me start the MySQL workbench. Now here it is. This is the startup screen of MySQL workbench. Now let me maximize it and click on local instance MySQL 56. On clicking that, I shall see a dialog window like this. The user is root, and let me set the password. On clicking the password, I shall click this OK button. This will lead me to another window. Okay, now you can see this rectangular shaped white portion. This indicates the workspace where you are going to type and execute the SQL commands. Now this particular table identified by the name player is contained inside a database, as I have already mentioned, and that's why I am going to set that database as our current database. And for that I have to make use of the use command and then specify the database name. Now that the database is second database, that's why I am going to type second database here to make this database as our current database. Now let me execute this command. So here it is. This tick mark indicates that the database identified as second database has been set as our current database. Now I can easily deal with this table called player, okay, which is contained inside that database. So let's first solve the question which says write a query to display the FNAME and names of the month of their birth. That means I am going to list all the entries under the FNAME column, okay, and then the entries, okay, corresponding to names of the month of their birth. So at first I need to know the date of birth column for these students. The date of birth column is DOB, okay, here it is, and these are the entries under the DOB column, and each of these entries represents the date of birth of these respective students. That means for the student Astik, the date of birth is 2003 12/12, where 2003 is the year, 12 is the month number, and 12 is the day number. Again for the student Hansika, 2007 11/29 is the date, where 2007 is the year, 11 is the month number, and 29 is the day number. Now as per the question, I need the names of the month of their birth. That means from the date of birth column, which represents the dates of each of the students, I don't need the month number, that is 12 for Astik, 11 for Hansika, again 12 for Anumita, 5 for Mahua. I don't need this month number. What I need is the month name. So I need to find out the month name from this corresponding month number. That is, the month name for this month number 12 shall be December. So December is the month for Astik. The month name for this month number 11 is November. So the month name for Hansika is November. Likewise, the month name for this month number 5 is May. As a result, for the student Mahua, the month name is May. So that's what we need to find out, the month name from this DOB column. So for that I need to write the SQL query as select fname comma month name, okay, and inside this month name function I need to keep the column DOB. Okay, this is because the function month name shall give you the name of the month from this date of birth column. That means from this DOB column, okay, for the date 2003-12-12, it is going to give you the month name from the month number 12. Again, from the entry 2007-11-29 under the DOB column, it is going to give you the month name, okay, which is November for the month number 11. That's why we have to write the query as select fname comma month name of DOB from the table player. Now the first part lists the entries of the column fname, because this has been asked in the question. We are asked to display the fname, so all the entries under the fname column shall be displayed. And the second part is asking us to display the names of the month of the birth. So for the DOB column, which represents the date of birth of each of these students, I need to find out the names of the month. So for that I have to use the month name function and put the column DOB as the argument. Now let me execute this query. So here is the result. The names of the students has been shown, okay, along with their month name from their corresponding date of birth. Now see, for the student Astik, the month name is December. This is because for the student Astik, from the date 2003-12-12, we can easily find out the month name because 12 represents December. Again, for the student Hansika, the month name is November. This is because for the student Hansika, we know her date is 2007-11-29, and from here, as the month number is 11, it indicates that it is November. That's why we can see November out here for the student Hansika. So I hope it is clear. Now this is the query and this is the output. Just have a look. Okay, now let's solve the next question. It says write a query to count the number of male students. Now whether the student is male or female, how can we know? We can come to know that from the gender column. Okay, now how many female students are there? 3. Okay, and how many male students? 3, because there are 3M which represents 3 male students and 3Fs which represents 3 female students, and we have to write a query to count the number of male students only, not the female students. So excluding the Fs, we have to count how many M's are there. There are 3 M's. Okay, so for that I have to write the query, and the query shall be, I have to just modify this query. At first I shall write the gender column, okay, then comma count of that gender. Okay, the count of that particular gender, okay, shall be given by this function, that is count star. So we shall write the SQL query as select gender comma count of star from the table player, where gender equal to M only. Because it has been asked in the question, we have to write a query to count the number of male students, and since we have to write the query to count the number of male students only, that's why I write it as select gender comma count star. Okay, where count star shall give the total number of that particular gender from the table player, but I have specified it in the where clause that the gender should be M. That means this count star function shall return the total number of gender, okay, whose value is M. That means it is going to give you the total number of male players. Now let me execute this query. Now see, for the gender column, okay, whose value is M, count star returns 3. That means in total there are 3 male players, okay, that we can find it out here. Okay, In total we have only 3 male players. The first male player is the student Astik who plays cricket. The second male player is the student Mohan who plays cricket, and the third male player is the student Subham who plays basketball. Okay, so upon executing this query you can see the output like this. So just have a look at it. Now let's solve the next question. It says write a query to display the record of students in the order of their age. Okay, so that means, are we going to display the record of the students in descending order of their age or ascending order of their age? Okay, that we must know it first. Now since the question is asking us to display the record of students in the order of their age, okay, so it's not been mentioned whether it's ascending or descending. So when it's not mentioned, you have to assume it that by default you have to display the record of the students in the ascending order of their age. That means the student with the age 5 shall come first, that is Hansika. Then the student with the age 10 shall come second, which is Astik, followed by the student with the age 12 shall come next, which is Mohan. Okay, followed by the student with the age 13, which is either Mahua or Shubham, and at the end the student with the age 15 shall come, which is Anumita. So in this way the records shall get displayed in the output table, okay, considering the age being displayed in ascending order, starting from 5, then 10, then 12, then 13, then 15. So let's write the query to display the record of the students in the order of their age. I have to just modify this SQL statement. Instead of this, I shall write the SQL statement as select star from player. Okay, then I shall put the order by clause. Now that I am going to display the record of students in the order of their age, that means in the ascending order of their age, so after the order by clause I shall need to put this age column. Now let me keep this age column here. So let me execute this query. Now the output table lists all the records of the students but in ascending order of their age. Now see, the student with the age 5 comes first, that is Hansika. Then the record of the student with age 10 comes next, which is Astik. After that the record of the student with age 12 comes, which is Mohan. After that the records of the student with age 13 comes, which is either Mahua or Subham. Then the record with the age 15 comes, that is the student Anumita. Her age is 15, and since this is the maximum out of all these ages, so her record is coming at the end. As a result, upon executing this query, the output table lists the records of the students in ascending order of their age, starting from the age 5, then 10, then 12, then 13, and finally 15. So just have a look at this query and this table. Okay, now let's come to the next question. It says write a query to display gender wise number of the students. That means we have to display the number of the students gender wise. Okay, again we have to use that count star function and the gender column, but this time I have to use the count star function to find the total number of male students as well as female students. See, this question is different from the question G, which was asking us to write a query to count the number of male students only. That's why in the where clause I have specified that the gender should be equal to M. But in this case we are required to display gender wise number of the students. That means for the gender female and for the gender male, we have to separately find the total number of that particular students. So for this question I have to use the group by clause, and the group by function shall group the students as per their gender, whether it is male or female. That means we have to find the total number of male students, which is 3 in this case, and the total number of female students, which is also 3 in this case. So I shall write the query like this. Let me modify it. Select gender, comma, count of gender from the table here, and then I shall use the group by clause. And since I am grouping this table as per the gender column, okay, so I shall group by the gender M and F. So for that, here under the group by clause I have to put the column gender. Now let me execute this query. Now see, for the gender F, the count of gender returns 3, okay, and that you can find it out here. Total number of female students are 3. Again, for the gender M, the count of gender returns again 3, which you can also find it out from here. The total number of male students are also 3. So just have a look at the query and the output for a while. Okay, now let's come to the last question, which is asking us to write a query to display the records of students whose name starts with the letter A. Okay, that means out of all these students, okay, we are going to display only those records whose name starts with the letter A. That means it will be this particular record, okay. Here the student name is Astik, and obviously it starts with the letter A. Then it shall be this particular record, okay, where the student name is Anumita, and obviously Anumita starts with the letter A. So these two records for Astik and Anumita should get displayed in the output table. So for that I have to write the SQL query as select star from clear, where now the name should start with the letter A. So we have to consider this column F name. So I'm going to write the part in the where clause as where F name like A percentage. Now A percentage denotes that the entries for the column F name should start with the letter A followed by any number of letters or characters, and those any number of characters or letters is indicated by the percentage symbol. And since it should start with the letter A, so we write like this, A percentage. So for this question, which is asking us to write a query to display the records of students whose name starts with the letter A, here is the query, which is select star from clear where F name like A percentage. Now star is going to retrieve all the entries, okay, for the columns PID, F name, L name, game, gender, DOB and age, and all these records are going to be listed in the output table, okay, based on one condition, that the letter for the student's name should start with A. So I am going to take into account this F name column, okay, which represents the first name of the student, and now that the first name should start with the letter A, so we are left with only two records, that is the record 100, okay, for the student Astik, and the record Anumita for the student, sorry, the record 102 for the student Anumita. both these students, okay, starts with the letter A. Now let me execute this query. So here it is. The output table lists the entries of all the columns PID, FNAME till A's, because we have selected star, where star retrieves the entries of all the columns. Now since the FNAME should be like a percentage, that's why entries under the FNAME column, okay, are extracted for which the letter starts, for which the starting letter is A, and which shows Astik and Anumita out of all these entries. So only the records for the students Astik and Anumita gets displayed, because only their names starts with the letter A. So just have a look at the query and the output. And with this I end my presentation here.